Welcome to the Couple Money Podcast. If you're looking to become financially free together, this is your show. Here's your host, Elle Martinez.
There it is. One of the goals of this podcast is to help you to become financially free. There are various tactics, strategies, a ton of lists online to get you there, but it really boils down to two things: cutting your expenses or growing your income. And they're both smart moves. There are times we need to reevaluate how we're spending our money. But there are also circumstances and situations when earning more is necessary if you want to reach your goals. The concern, though, is about the time and effort involved with building up another stream of income. Most of us are busy and we're not looking to take on a second job at night or the weekends, especially if we have other responsibilities, including kids. This is where a side hustle can be a practical solution. And to make sure you and I are on the same page, when I say side hustle, I'm referring to part-time entrepreneurship. Today's show is designed to help you figure out if this is the right option for you. Nick Loper, creator of Side Hustle Nation, talks about how he made his transition, but also discusses the highs and lows of part-time entrepreneurship, why you need to diversify your side hustles, and the productivity tools he uses to manage his businesses and finances. Yes, don't let the term fool you. You are creating a business, so you can save yourself a lot of time and energy by doing your due diligence. And one of the first steps is figuring out a profitable idea. There are a few ways you can go about finding the right side hustle for you. You can start with what you can offer or begin with the customer that you want to serve. To me, I think starting with a self-assessment can help you narrow down things quicker. The first question is, what do you want to get out of this side hustle? Maybe it's something you just want to devote a few hours to each week to help with paying down some bills or boosting up some savings. Or maybe it's something that you want to grow, perhaps even becoming a larger part of your income. Then you want to look at your skills, your strengths, your interests. What are your abilities? What are some things you're good at? What do you enjoy? I know the internet's full of people telling you to follow your passion, but that's just one piece of the puzzle. Remember, we're trying to find a profitable idea. So let's look at the other side, your customer and their problem. Try to get as specific as possible. What kind of customers are you trying to serve? What are their biggest headaches? And combine it with what you already know about your skills, your strengths, and your interests. And you should have maybe a list of ideas and problems. Now look at those customers and those potential side hustles. Are those customers in circumstances which allow them to pay? And are they willing to pay for the service you're offering? You might be able to fix one of their problems, but they might not want to pay you enough for your time. So once you figure out that first side hustle, that first business and source of income, what do you do next? Nick Loper is going to show you a little bit of the ropes and give you some tips on how to be productive. Nick Loper is an entrepreneur in every sense of the word. He's an author, speaker, consultant, and after my own heart, a podcast host. He's created Side Hustle Nation as a resource for anyone looking not only to earn money, but to create, connect, and contribute. And through his work and interviewing other successful entrepreneurs, he knows how difficult and rewarding the journey can be.
The whole thing, it is a challenge because it goes back to, if it were easy, everybody would be doing it, right? So some of the challenges that I've run across on actually, so my original side hustle was like this footwear comparison shopping site, growing, 3 years, nights and weekends, finally get up the nerve to quit my job and say, okay, this is going to be my thing. And in youthful naivety, being like, this could be my thing like forever. This is a great business. But on day one of self-employment, I was like, envisioning my 4-hour work week lifestyle and the margaritas on the beach.
Nice.
And of all days, this is the day that the server decides to crash. I'm like, oh, well, that's maybe a bad omen. But like, okay, that's fine. That's temporary. But on the same day, of course, luck would have it, Google decides this is the day they're going to crawl the website or my advertising account for like their quality score metrics. And so first off, they say, hey, the site doesn't even load. We can't have that. Like, okay, that's understandable. Fine. I'll deal with that once it's back up and running. Once it was back up and running, it had kind of raised a red flag on their system or whatever. And then they said, hey, this is just an affiliate site. Like the sole purpose of you existing is to drive traffic to other sites, which was true because I needed to, have people click over to these other sites to get paid, Zappos and Amazon, these other advertisers. And I was like, well, Google, that's the whole purpose of Google for existing. Like you people search for something and you drive them to other websites. Like who are you to judge, right?
Yeah.
But they didn't see it that way. And it took the entire summer because they don't really tell you what they're looking for to try and like revamp the website and add some content and add some other features to make it, get back in their good graces. And you know what they said to me after this 3 months, after like appeal, trying to get reinstated. They said, oh yeah, it looks like we made a mistake. You're good to go.
Learning from that experience and from others, Nick became a big believer in diversifying income.
I don't remember who said this or if this is even true, but it's like, oh, the average millionaire has like 7 income streams or something. And I've always been fascinated by that. And for full disclosure, like not all of these are very large, but they're out there. I kind of have a buy button theory of, especially for online business. Like, hey, the more marketplaces you can throw up your product or service and have a buy button, like, hey, that's more opportunity for people to do business with you, to discover you, and hopefully to pay you. But like, this was a big thing, or kind of one of the common themes of Side Hustle Nation is like diversification. Like if you're relying on one source of income, and for most people that's their day job, that's kind of a risky position to be in. Mm-hmm. And I found myself in the same position on day one of self-employment, where I was relying on one source of income, and even worse than that was that income source was relying very, very heavily on one source of traffic. So I was like in the same, I was in that same position even as an entrepreneur, and so that was kind of a wake-up call to be like, okay, I got to try and diversify.
And as I mentioned earlier, Nick has a lot of projects on his plate. To stay on top of all of them requires a system that is effective and flexible. Being an avid tracker has been a huge help with that.
Yeah, I try and prioritize the night before, like by writing down my top 3 actions for the next day. Mm-hmm. The bulk of my time, I actually just published like a time tracking study, which is a great productivity hack. But this is one of my favorite things. There's a bunch of different tools and apps out there that you can use. Toggle is one, TOGGL.com. Okay. It's like a glorified stopwatch where you punch in what you're working on and you hit the button and then you go. Like when I did this for the last couple months, just used Excel. Like I would open up my Excel time tracker sheet in the morning, punch in, start time, what I'm working on, and then go to town until whenever that was over. And I found just like being on the clock, like it kind of gamifies it a little bit. And you'd be like, I can't believe I just spent 45 minutes on email. Like that's not allowed. Like that's not cool. And so it kind of kept me out of the inbox a little bit, mm-hmm. and kind of kept me a little bit more focused during the day, kind of knowing, even though it was just entirely like placebo or like entirely against myself, it was a kind of a cool way to, and then analyze, of course, after the fact. Say like, okay, where did my time go? What tasks could be eliminated? What tasks could be improved, automated, and what could be potentially delegated to a virtual assistant or somebody else? Yeah, it's definitely kind of a stressful thing to have so many different projects going on, and so it's always a challenge to figure out, okay, well, how do you allocate your hours so that like it's kind of, and talked about this a little bit before. It's kind of like a game of whack-a-mole. You can't really do 8 things at once, and you really can only do one thing at once and do it well. And so it's like, okay, I'm gonna, sprint over here. So we were joking before the call, like today I spent most of the time trying to figure out Pinterest and like get set up on that platform because it's something I know nothing about. So investing some time there that hopefully will pay some dividends in traffic down the road.
Since Nick is constantly experimenting and trying out different tools, I asked him if he had any favorites or recommendations for entrepreneurs trying to be more productive.
Oh my gosh, a ton of tools. I wrote the book on this subject called Work Smarter, which is like kind of interviewing a bunch of different people, what their favorite tools are. Some of my favorites, LastPass, absolutely love this thing. It's a password management tool. If you're probably logging into a couple dozen different websites every day, and just I don't have to think about it, and I can use it to share a password securely with assistants and like not show them the actual password. So I think that's kind of a cool tool and free. Text Expander, one of my favorite like Chrome plugins, and I think you can get a system-wide one for like $30. But the browser plugin is free, like for these like keyboard shortcuts. You feel like a productivity ninja when that's going on. The new one this is like a new addition to my arsenal. It's called Copy Clip. Let's see, where is it? It's down here in the ClipX is what it's called. Okay. Yeah, this is for Windows, so there might be something different for Mac, but this saves, I think, 25 different things in my clipboard. So if I want to paste something I pasted or I copied 3 copies ago, it's right there. So I think that one is a really cool new addition for like meeting schedules, all about schedule once. Those are some of my favorites.
As a podcast that includes money in its name, I asked Nick if he had any favorite tools to handle their finances. And he mentioned to me that they use Betterment for investing. He's also a peer-to-peer lender with Prosper, and they track their net worth with Mint. And if you've been listening for a while, you've heard about these services. I think they're great, and I even had some shows that highlighted how you can use them. But then he revealed that they also use Mint in an unconventional way to explore potential opportunities.
We use Mint for kind of just tracking net worth, which is something that I try and use when evaluating like new investments or new like business ventures or kind of riskier things, to try and look at it as a percentage of net worth, to say like, if you have a net worth of $100,000 and you're looking at this $1,000 bet, instead of looking at it as $1,000, which is kind of like, that's intimidating, that is painful to lose, right? But you could say it instead, if you could reframe it as it's a 1% bet, like if this goes horribly wrong, like this is not even a blip on the radar. I'm still 99% the same as where I was. And so that kind of gives yourself permission to take some risks, I guess, and see if you can accelerate things a little bit.
So if you're ready to make the leap and become a part-time entrepreneur, Nick has some advice that will not only help you with starting the business, but draw you two closer to financial freedom.
I'm a latecomer to like the Mr. Money mustache, like the 4% rule, the early retirement. And as soon as I found that, it was like a light bulb like that went off and was like, oh my gosh, like why didn't no one tell us this like when we were 18? And so that's probably what I would have tried to drive home to my like high school and college aged self. And you didn't really have any like out of control spending habits, but still like with that in the back of your mind, like, okay, look, this is the target. Like if you can save 25x your annual expenses, like you are financially free, and it's like you can do whatever you want. So that's kind of, if I was going back in time, that's the stuff that I would try and focus on a little bit earlier, because it's so empowering. And that's why, the side hustle stuff is like, hey, if we can get people to that magic number a little bit faster, I'm all for it.
Special thanks to Nick for being a part of the show. If you want to build an additional income stream, please check out Side Hustle Nation. Nick has created a wonderful resource. There are articles, interviews, a podcast, and even books to help you make this leap. And thank you for listening. If you ever have any questions about money and marriage, please send them in. You can go through the site at couplemoneypodcast.com or email me or even chat with me on Twitter or Facebook at Couple Money. And don't forget to subscribe so you can get the latest episodes as soon as they're released. It's easy and free. We're on iTunes, SoundCloud, and Stitcher. The feed is also available on couplemoneypodcast.com, so you can grab it on whatever service you prefer. Until next time, take care.